Welcome to Bookmas Day 4. Alright, let's chat about the 5 books that disappointed me in 2023, but like in a surprising disappointment. There are some books that I will have rated lower than these, but I kind of expected them to be disappointments. These were what I thought were going to be really good books and then just turned out to be like dumpster fire books. So if I don't like a book, that doesn't mean that you have to like a book. It literally doesn't mean anything. My opinion means nothing. So if you like the books, that's perfectly okay. Like, not every book is going to be for every person, but I just thought it was funny, like looking back at all of the books that I've read this year and seeing that these books were like some of the lowest, not all of them, but they were just a surprise. They were a surprise to me. So the first one is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I just remember thinking that this book was so predictable. I'm just looking back and rereading like what my review was, and it literally says, pretty much hated this book, and the fact that the IQ level of 160 came up every 5 fucking seconds, please just stop. So I remember this so vividly in my mind. I was literally counting how many times they were going to mention that the main male character's IQ was above 160 or was at 160. I stopped counting after 4 times. I mean, like, why is that necessary? I don't know. I was cringing on every single page. Literally, I could tell you exactly what was going to happen after the first 20 pages. I didn't like either of the characters, and it blows my mind that some people think like the guy in that book is one of the best book boyfriends. Like, excuse me? We're not reading the same pages, are we? The next book is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This, I was so astonished because I feel like this is like one of the quintessential thriller mystery books. And I just was so bored. It took me so long to get through that book because I felt like it was pulling teeth trying to get me to flip the page to find out what happened next, because it was taking so long for anything to happen. I didn't feel connected to the main character, and I know that's kind of like, well, no one really feels connected to the main character in a thriller mystery usually, because they're kind of written off as like characters who just like they're just not great characters usually. But it's just like such a, I think, in my opinion, a forgettable book. I hated the ending, not like the plot ending. Okay, let me clarify. What she goes on to do like later on, like that is alluded to at the very end, I just didn't really get it. I'm not really a thriller mystery girl, but this book makes me not want to read another thriller at all, which is very dramatic. I realize that, but I just really was let down with this book because it was hyped up so much and literally sparked nothing in me. The next book, which was very similar in like my feelings towards it, was The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So here's the thing. Unlike The Housemaid, I feel like The Lost Apothecary just wasn't, well, I don't think that either of them were really written well. I feel like The Lost Apothecary was more likely to hold my attention, but it fucked itself over because I hated the modern day view. Like, this was a book that had 2 different POVs. One was from way back when and was the apothecary lady and her point of view, along with like her kind of assistant girl. The other POV was like the modern day, where she finds a piece from the apothecary and then like discovers all these things and something about her failed marriage. I don't know. I just really wanted just to like smack her in the face a lot of her POV. The apothecary side of things was so much more interesting, and it just really killed me having to go through the modern day POV. I really didn't like her, and that ruined the book for me. The cover's still beautiful to me though. The next book is, like, I will always laugh when I think of this book, because I don't know if I've ever read a book that had so much spice with no substance. To this day, there's always room for something worse, I guess. This book, Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert, really was really just a disappointment. If you just want to read corn with a P, go for it. This book has loads of it. Interesting choice of words there. Anyway, it's just like, it made no sense. I kind of felt like a fanfic, almost. Like, just like completely off the walls, random scenes spliced together, all spice, nothing else was going on. And you're just like wondering like, what the fuck is happening? And what the fuck am I reading? That's pretty much all I'm gonna say about that. This last book I read in November, actually, so it hasn't been that long, but it's still just such a disappointment to me that it made the cut. It's There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. I don't know where I first saw this book, to be honest, but I never knew that it was a dark romance, which is not a big deal. I've read dark romances before and I've enjoyed them. However, this one just felt so psychotic and sociopathic, and I was concerned for the main character the entire time. The romance was scary. Like, I feel like this was more thriller than it was dark romance. If you're gonna read it, like, you definitely need to read the trigger warnings. I am not triggered usually by books, and I wouldn't say that I was triggered by this book. It just literally was so unhinged and crazy, and it wasn't good. Like, the dark romance wasn't a romance to me. It felt psychotic. Like in Haunting Adeline, you can feel like the romance side of it, even though it is very dark and crazy. In this, I felt no romance, and I wanted to call 911 for this main character. I'm like, girl, get out of there. Leave. If there's one book that I could just like take one of the characters and put them in a different book to keep them safe, it would be this book. And I don't think I'm gonna read the next one. It was just so crazy. I thought that I would feel some things, but like not concern. Nope. It feels like an episode of Criminal Minds. And not like in a cool way. So that was my top five, bottom five, because they were disappointing. Top five most surprising disappointments of 2023. Even though we're not quite at the end of 2023, I'm very confident that I can lock those in now. And we'll just, man, there is only up from there, right? I hope. There were some other disappointments in books for 2023, but those were definitely the absolute worst ones. So again, if you like those books, if you have a completely different opinion than me, that is totally fine. That's totally normal. I just did not vibe with those. That is going to be the end of today's video. But if you want to follow me on TikTok or Instagram, I'm posting other things on there. You can find me at somewhereinthereads. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow for Bookmas Day 5.